All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on when and where you are joining us from. Welcome to day one of Foundation, CData Software's first ever conference. And we are thrilled that you're joining us live. I'm looking in the chat right now. People are joining us from New Mexico, from India, from Finland. We've got people from Texas, from California, joining from all over, all time zones, all countries. And we're just super excited to be here. I'm Jared Johnson, Senior Technology Evangelist at CData Software, and I get the pleasure of co-hosting this event with my boss, but I'll let her introduce herself.
So hi everyone, I'm Marie Forshaw, SVP of Product Marketing here at CData, and we are excited to be your host for the next 2 days.
Over these next 2 days, you're going to learn how a modern data connectivity strategy can build a strong foundation for you and for your company. So get ready to streamline your operations, make smarter decisions, and prepare for the future of AI. We're thrilled that you're joining us today, and we can't wait to dive into all of the amazing content that we have lined up for you.
And Jared, before we get too far, we want to review a few housekeeping items and logistics to make sure everyone can get the most out of today. So first and foremost, make sure you're using the latest version of Chrome or Edge for your browser for the best experience.
Yeah, that's super important. I tried to use Firefox. It did not work well, so make sure you've got the right browser set up. After you get set up and you're logged in, if you need to change your browser, make sure you're updating your profile with a photo with your title, the company that you work for, your LinkedIn and X details as well. This is just going to help you get connected with the other attendees.
And getting connected is really important. It's one of our goals over the next 2 days, so make sure you are engaging in the public and the session chats, which you can see to the right-hand side.
Yeah, so along with the chat, both for the public that you can see throughout the entire event and the session-specific chat, we also have a Q&A panel. So if you have specific questions for the speaker, that's the best way to get those to them. So there's a Q&A section. It's in the top right of your chat window that you can use to ask questions for the speakers in the sessions that you're attending.
And closed captioning and subtitles are available for those who need it. So just hover over the stage screen, click the CC icon, or select your preferred subtitle language to turn those on.
And finally, we want to stick to the adage of when in doubt, be polite. We want to keep all communications in the event respectful and, most importantly, have fun at all times.
I know we'll be having fun up here on stage.
During the event, you're going to enjoy opening and closing keynote content plus 5 total tracks of content.
Is it really 5? I don't think I'm prepared for all 5.
Marie, I hope you're just quizzing me. Aren't you moderating one of those tracks?
I sure am. I'll be in the extended connectivity track this afternoon. Hope to see everybody there.
Okay, yeah, always keeping me on my toes. I knew you had it covered. Along with the extended connectivity track, we'll have data architecture and enterprise data strategy tracks. Today's sessions are going to feature customers like Google, Bayer, New York University, and more. You can see on the slides here that we have a summary of what we'll be covering today, and now it's my turn to quiz you, Marie. If you haven't decided which track to join, each track is geared towards a specific role. So, Marie, data architecture is for?
Data architects.
Extended connectivity is for?
Product teams.
And enterprise data strategy, your track, that one is for?
Data and analytics leaders.
Awesome.
And tomorrow, get ready for more great content about data engineering, BI and reporting, and more on enterprise data strategy. Our speakers tomorrow will feature from World Wildlife Fund, NJM Insurance, Uninet, and more. And the best part is that you can hop between tracks to join the sessions that interest you both today and tomorrow by clicking into the agenda menu at the top of your screen. And don't worry if you're missing a session that you really want to attend. All sessions will be recorded and will be posted on demand in Goldcast and on the CData website after today's event. Make sure you keep an eye out for an email on Friday when everything's going to be available to view. And last but not least, for those who love a challenge, don't miss our trivia breaks. There's going to be 2 per day. Prizes will be awarded and the winners will be announced tomorrow during our closing remarks.
Awesome. So with the housekeeping out of the way, let's officially kick off day one. Please, everyone, join us in welcoming our first keynote speaker, Amit Sharma, CEO of CData Software, to the stage. Amit is going to share his perspective on the evolving role of data connectivity within organizations, where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed. So everyone, let's give a virtual round of applause to Amit as he comes up on stage.
Thanks, Jared. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural CData Foundations Conference. We're excited to have more than 1,500 registrants representing 90 plus countries across 1,000 plus companies. It is great to have you all here. Thank you for all our presenters and participants for joining us. We're excited to have you here and have some amazing content to share. And finally, thank you for our team that I know has worked really hard behind the scenes to put everything together. So why foundation? What I wanted to start with is share a little bit about where we are. We have a unique vantage point in the world of data and AI. We have 7,000 plus direct customers and 150 ISV partners that embed our connectivity in their products. Our customer base is very diverse. We support developers who are building internal applications with data. We help data engineers who are building data products. We also serve business analysts that build reports and analyze data for decision making. And add to all of that, we also help product managers who are improving their products with CData connectivity embedded inside their products. So what we want to do is we want to provide a forum for us to learn from our customers, have a way for us to talk to each other, and share some of the customer stories that have been fantastic learning points for the CData team. And then with that, I would like to go to the biggest news in our industry, the most transformational technology that is taking shape in the world of data and analytics. And that is, of course, generative AI. So if you think about what's happening with generative AI, just this year, Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta are expected to invest $200 billion on AI-related capital expenditure. That sum is unprecedented in terms of investments in any technology in the past. That is going to probably accelerate to 300 billion next year. I think a quote from Sundar Pichai that sums their sentiment up very nicely, is when he said, "The risk of underinvestment is far greater than the risk of overinvestment." And it is not just the hyperscalers. If you think about what the VC world is going through, 37% of VC funding went to AI-related companies. That was similar in the past quarters and is significantly up compared to what happened last year. So on one side, we have these promising metrics, but on the other side, we have some challenges that we are facing. After nearly 2 years of launch of generative AI, only 8% of companies have deployed more than half of their generative AI experiments. We are in this phase of experimenting and running pilots, but not really getting much in production. And even if you think about the most marquee product for generative AI, there are some doubts on the ROI of something like Microsoft Copilot. In our view, what explains this, it is not just enough to adopt technology, but people are looking for results and business outcomes. And to get business outcomes, it's not just the technology that you are introducing that matters, but all the challenges that come alongside it. Before we talk about some of the challenges, I'd like to highlight a few things that I believe are very promising from what we have noticed. So one of the most promising things that I've seen with generative AI is today there is no product that has been impacted by generative AI in some way. If you look at the capabilities of data management software, they have accelerated beyond what could be foreseen before generative AI. Some of these changes are coming from background development or code generation, but there are many capabilities that are being introduced into the products. And most of these capabilities are being offered to customers at no additional cost. So that takes ROI out of the picture. I think some of the examples that we can share from our perspective, last year, many of us witnessed the launch of Salesforce Data Cloud at Dreamforce. That included more than 100 CData connectors, and I'm very excited by what's coming from Salesforce in that area. Another one of our partners is Google, and we're working very closely with them. And I welcome you to join some of their talks, especially the one with Chai from Google. That's going to be just after my presentation here. And the other promising trend that I would like to highlight is the fact that we all individually are using generative AI in a big way. So a survey by Federal Reserve found that fully 39% of Americans are already using Gen AI. They are doing it outside of their organization for personal uses and even for work-related uses, but just not inside organization-wide deployments. And if you look at some of the past innovations, this trend has been seen for smartphones, instant messaging platforms, and social media networks, where individuals were far ahead of organizations until organizations figured out how to bring these technologies into the org in a more managed and governed way. So going back to thinking about what is really holding back the organizations. And I think there are various things. So of course there is a weak or brittle infrastructure that makes it challenging to deploy generative AI and get value out of it. There is the question of ROI to figure out whether the deployments are valuable. There is legal and regulatory concerns. Some of the IP concerns around generative AI are not fully hashed out, and people are concerned about how governments will build laws around this. And then lastly, there are inadequate skills in the workforce where we need to upskill our workforce to get most out of generative AI. So all of these trends are true, but I want to highlight one more, which was found to be the most dominant trend. A fully 58% of respondents in a survey done by Databricks and Data IQ found that access to data is the primary cause for not adopting generative AI. So think about that. We're still struggling with this notion of data silos, and AI, to get the best value out of it, we need to overcome that. I strongly believe that your AI strategy has to be an extension of your data strategy. It cannot exist without it. So talking about data strategy, when we started CData in 2014, of course, generative AI wasn't a thing, but we were already seeing that it was getting challenging to access data. There was a proliferation of SaaS platforms, and accessing these platforms was harder. Think about systems like Salesforce, SharePoint, SAP, Marketo, and getting data access from all of these platforms was not easy. We set out to solve that challenge. And then when you think about all of those data sources, the other challenge was data is used across many different applications. You think about tools like Excel, Tableau, and enterprise tools like Informatica, Crystal Reports, Oracle ODI. All of these tools that were built in the past generation now need to have access to these data that resided in these SaaS platforms. And it wasn't easy to do so. And then the third pillar, what we set out to solve for is, of course, these are all of these diverse data sources and all these applications where you need to use data, but you also need to cater to different user types. Long gone are the days where only data engineers and data scientists could have access to data and do their work with it. You now need business analysts, even senior execs need to get access to data on their own to be better at their roles and make better decisions. So today, CData we believe, has made a strong leaps in addressing that challenge. We have 270 plus connectors across various domains. We cover sources from relational database systems to CRM systems, to various APIs, to DevOps systems, and more. And we not only cover these systems, but we have become the dominant platform that people are using to get their connectivity. If you think about it, like we're running almost 207 billion queries every month, and that is across 7,000 direct customers and more than 150 of the world's largest leading data management software applications that are already embedding CData connectivity in their products. And so how do we do this? I think I wanted to give you a quick preview of what's unique about CData and how we talk about connectivity. What does it really mean? What a CData connector is, it connects to these things that you're seeing on the left, like various APIs that might be consistent, they might be changing, and they do it in a standard way. all of that data can be accessed over something that is well understood and well recognized in the industry, which is the SQL way of connecting to data. And on the right-hand side, we surface this connectivity across various applications. So if it's a Java platform, you could use JDBC. If you're a Windows platform user, you have the choice of .NET Core or ODBC, and various other de facto platforms like Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. So now, no matter your use case, no matter your application, you can connect to any data, and you could do it in a very standard way. There's one more unique thing that I would call out about the SQL-based connectivity. It turns out SQL is very conducive to generative AI workload. In fact, like you will hear for some of the talks in the coming sessions, how SQL is easy to generate and how products are taking advantage of that, where you can literally talk to your data. So that is where CData started. But today we are a lot more than that. We're not just a company that is doing connectivity, but we have various products across different types of use cases. For live data connectivity, we have CData Connect, which is a low-code, no-code connectivity for business users. We have for data architects and data engineers, we have CData Virtuality that allows you to define virtual data connections. And then we have CData Sync for data movement and CData Arc for B2B integration. All of these products sit on top of our CData connectivity platform and CData connectors that are already well adopted and used in the industry. So with that, I would like to go back to that notion where we were talking about how we are trying to serve different user personas. Different users interact with connectivity in different ways. So if you think about an executive, they might be making decisions, or a data architect who's trying to define systems and processes and how across an entire organization, or BI and reporting that is being used by BI and reporting analysts for dashboards, etc. Different users interact with products and interact with data in different ways. And we want to serve all of these users in their unique way that's applicable to them. So I'm excited about what we did for data architects this year. Just earlier this year, we acquired Data Virtuality, one of the leading data virtualization platforms. Since the acquisition, we have introduced all of our data connectors into Data Virtuality, and we have also invested a lot into the platform and continue to do so. I encourage you to join a session by Nick, who's the CEO co-founder of Data Virtuality tomorrow, and learn more on how we are investing in data virtuality, and especially around what we are doing around AI. And similarly to data architects, we have made significant leaps in helping data analysts work with their data. A lot of data analysts continue to work with spreadsheets. That remains, in spite of all the improvements in analytics software and everything, that remains the tool of choice for many analysts and many people working with data. So today we are announcing Connect Spreadsheets. This is a product that has a native connectivity inside Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets, the two leading spreadsheet products, and it allows you to connect to 250 connections directly, 250 sources directly out of the spreadsheets at a click of a button. We are excited to also offer this capability for free, so you could experiment with the platform and use it to your heart's content. And if you find use for it, you can unlock some of the premium features, which allow you to refresh on a schedule and not just read data, but be able to write data back into some of these data sources. And then thinking about our another segment, like our product managers or ISVs who are looking into embedding connectivity into their products, I'd like to invite Arun from UiPath to have a conversation to see what they are seeing from their perspective and how they are using AI in their products. So Arun, please join us.
Hey, Amit. Excited to be here, John, with you today.
Arun, thanks for joining us. Thanks for, and also many thanks for the partnership that UiPath has had with CData for many years. Why don't we start with you providing a quick background on UiPath and your role at the company?
Sure. No, and thank you and your entire team for the partnership as well over the past several years, Amit. Yeah, so talking about UiPath, so UiPath is an AI-driven, AI-powered business automation platform. The company was founded back in 2005, and our founder, CEO, Daniel, had this vision to be able to sort of remove the drudgery of mundane tasks that humans are performing in their day-to-day sort of working lives. So he, in fact, sort of is credited with inventing this category of products called RPA, which stands for Robotic Process Automation. And there are about 11,000 customers across sort of private sector as also public sector and governments worldwide who use UiPath's business automation platform for discovering how their processes are working today, automating the drudgery of those processes to make them more efficient, and then operating those processes at scale to be able to truly sort of generate the business outcomes that they care about the most. And now with the excitement of AI, UiPath is one of the companies which is at the forefront of reinventing the category in the for the future. And our vision for the future essentially is that for specifically business automation is that the future is both robotic and agentic, and we call it our Act 2, and we are sort of at the forefront of innovating and building a platform for the agentic automation world. And I'm happy to sort of talk about this in detail later in our chat as well. In my current role at UiPath, I'm a VP of product management here, leading our discovery suite of products, as well as our agentic orchestration platform and innovation initiatives.
That's great to hear, Arun. And as you rightly pointed out, right, AI and especially agent technology has been there for a very long time, and maybe it was probably already used inside of UiPath based on their legacy and history. But what do you think about Gen AI and this new advent of being able to large language models, and how are you guys taking advantage of that?
Yeah, I think we are sort of all in on Gen AI and also the agentic sort of automation future that I just briefly talked about. We are investing heavily in building a platform which customers can use to create their own sort of agents, which essentially are trained on context-specific, use-specific data, and also have the guardrails that customers seek and need to deploy and use them securely within their environments, right? So a couple of trends that we're seeing based on our discussions with our customers and analysts as well is that everybody wants to sort of go and leverage AI agents and the power that they actually promise, but they want to do so under human supervision, right? So this a grand sort of vision of, hey, agents will autonomously do everything and then get you the outcome that you seek. I think we still are a few years away from actually realizing that vision truly, right? I think I would say we are on step one where organizations are getting warmed up to the idea of using AI agents and embedding them in their business sort of workflows, but they want to sort of do that either in a supervised way where agents can essentially perform the sort of hard sort of work, cognitive work, and so on and so forth, and then they escalate the decision making to a human in the loop. So that's one sort of trend that we are seeing very, very clearly, and that's how we are sort of thinking about leveraging agents, both in how we use them in our platform and also how we advise our customers to use the agents as well. The second trend that we're seeing essentially is that customers, essentially, to your point about truly sort of generating the high ROI that you mentioned earlier in this talk, customers want agents to be really highly accurate, especially for some of the use cases where the cost of hallucination, for example, or taking the wrong decision is significantly high, both for the end customer of the organization and also for the organization itself, right? So that's an area where we're sort of basically working with our customers very, very closely as well. And a good example that I want to take is a global multinational sort of pharmaceutical company that we've been working with for the last 6 months. where we've built our first agent. We call it the autopilot, and encourage the audience to sort of go to our website and learn more details about our autopilot agent. So, but we worked very closely with this pharma company to build an agent which is specialized in screening plasma and blood donors. And then we were able to sort of train the agent on, truly, use case specific data, like medical history, medical records and stuff, all in sort of compliant ways, and create an agent which essentially had more than 95% accuracy in screening donors. And now this pharma company is deploying that agent that we built for them worldwide as well. So yeah, lots
That
of
makes
exciting.
sense. So, I mean, it's been 2 years since generative AI came to being, and you've been in the industry, Arun, for quite some time. So, like, do you think, based on the promise that was there for generative AI and the hype and everything else was around it, we've seen not all of that, at least to this day, be realized. So, what do you think is holding organizations back?
Yeah, so there are a few things that are holding organizations back from truly leveraging the benefits. First of all, I'll say there certainly is a lot of promise here, right? As we've also heard some of the other industry leaders speak as well. And this is the fourth platform shift in the sort of tech industry, if you will, right? There is a significant promise here, and we're a few years away from truly realizing it. The challenges that organizations face in truly realizing the ROI from these Gen AI investments. I talked about accuracy already with that example, so I won't sort of repeat that, but that's one of the first ones, which ties directly to the ROI. The second one essentially is governance and trustworthiness, right? So, organizations, largely in general, but also especially those who work in highly regulatory industries like healthcare, finance, others. The first question they essentially have is, hey, what about my data? How are the models essentially using my data? What are the guardrails that you are implementing around making sure that the sanctity and security of my data essentially is not breached, right? What about PII? How do we make sure that the data that the models are using to get trained on, if it includes PII data, that PII data essentially is not breached, right? So that's sort of the next sort of challenge around governance and trustworthiness. And the third big challenge essentially is on the total cost of ownership, right? It's not just about, hey, I bought a model from somebody and then I deployed it and stuff, right? The cost of implementing the model, the cost of training the model, the cost of actually getting access to the right data to be able to train those models, the cost of evaluating those models to make sure that they are actually meeting the benchmarks that you truly care about, deploying them, maintaining them. All of those are like add up to your sort of overall sort of total cost of ownership. So that's the third sort of challenge that customers are truly sort of struggling with. And the point that you very nicely captured earlier is that, hey, these generic co-pilots and stuff, they haven't truly delivered the ROI yet. And there's a reason for that, because they are actually not trained on specific use case contextual data. So, but that's where the promise lies.
Makes sense. And I know the focus of our work together with UiPath has been enabling customers to access more diverse data in the process mining space. So what role do you see data connectivity playing when it comes to AI?
Oh man, data connectivity, I think like that it has one of the most important roles to play in helping customers sort of take this leap of faith and get into the AI-driven sort of organization world. I would say data connectivity is the bedrock of any meaningful AI-led transformation, right? And I say this for many reasons. First, let's take LLMs, right? LLMs are, like fine, they appear to be magical, but that magic that you see is a end result of arduous training and tuning and fine tuning those models using data which essentially is relevant to the use case, right? I've worked in the AI industry for decades now, and we have the saying, which is, like your model is only as good as the data that you feed to train it, right? So LLMs need contextually grounded data for improving their precision. They need to be able to sort of train on both structured and unstructured data, especially if the LLM essentially is multimodal, as some of the new advancements in the LLM space are, right? And data essentially is siloed. You captured this really, really well earlier, and that's what we see in our sort of customer environments as well. Take any business process, the data is spread at least 15, 20 different sort of systems, both homegrown, some on-prem, some on cloud, and so on and so forth. So having this data connectivity layer, which essentially brings all of these things into a cohesive sort of data lake, and then reason over it and give you the tools that you need to extract the signal from it, becomes very, very foundational to any AI strategy.
Thanks, Arun. We're very excited to also have Jack from your team presenting at our conference later today, so please look out for that. Before I let you go, one last question. What is one thing you're especially excited about what your team is working on as it relates to AI? I think you answered about agents, but maybe something specific there.
Yes. So we talked about agents. So we're doing two things, right? One, we are sort of basically building this platform to create agents which are use case specific. But the other thing that I'm excited about essentially is we're also building what we call an agentic orchestration platform, right? Because again, back to my point, agents essentially are specialized at doing one particular task in an overall sort of broader process in a workflow. And we believe that organizations need a end-to-end sort of platform to orchestrate agents that they build either using our platform or agents that they use from other platforms, let's say Salesforce, ServiceNow, Microsoft, what have you, right? And that's one of the big product investments that we are making, which I'm super, super excited about. Using our agentic orchestration platform, which will be generally available for our customers to use in April next year, so about 5 months away. Customers will be able to get the tools that they need to orchestrate their complex, long-running enterprise processes across humans, robots, and agents, and operate them at scale across multiple systems of data and systems of records. So that's the thing that I'm excited about the most.
That sounds very cool, and we'll keep an eye out for next April. Thanks, Arun. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for the partnership with the CData team.
Likewise. Thanks, Amit.
So what's next for CData? I wanted to leave you with this picture, which is a little bit future leaning. So we talked about how CData wants to serve all customers regardless of their role, support multiple data sources across different integration patterns. We saw how we have a platform where you have some products that can work with live connectivity, live data. There are others that can connect with data movement. You could do ETL, B2B transformation, etc. One thing we've continued to see is customers don't think in terms of integration patterns. They've seen, we get customers that I've adopted Workday or I've adopted ServiceNow, and here are the 5 things. When I've adopted Workday, here are the 5 or 6 things that I want to do with it. Some of them maybe suit for live connectivity, some might be analytics and reporting use cases. But when they adopt a new SaaS platform or a new data repository, they want to solve for multiple use cases at once. And so what we believe is a foundational platform that starts with the bedrock of connectivity. So imagine something where you could define your enterprise-wide connectivity in one place, govern it, define all sorts of ACL around it so you can see who's accessing what. And then on top of it, you could serve multiple use cases and multiple user types on top of that. That's where we are headed. We believe very strongly in this vision to have this bedrock of data connectivity, and on top of it have separate services that various customers can use. Just recently, as we announced just today, we have this product called Connect Spreadsheets. So imagine somebody who wants to connect from spreadsheets, and they define some connections that their organization can use. The users can share these connections across various spreadsheets. But why stop there? Maybe there is another use case that somebody else wants to tap on in their organization where they have an ETL workflow. Why have to go and start everything from the beginning? They could just use the same connection with enable another service for another group of users, and they could do ETL using the same connection. And what's important about the same connection is the fact that the data being seen on both sides is consistent. What the ETL product is seeing and what the data architects and the developers are working off of is the same standard connectivity that the business users are seeing and other people are using. You could also build these services on top of each other. So we're talking about virtualization, being able to define a semantic view on top of data. But you could take that semantic view and build ETL workflows on top of it, or consume those semantic views on top of the spreadsheet-like products and others. We are very committed for this new platform that we are building, and you will hear more from us on this front in the coming months and years. And with that, I'd like to say thank you and pass on and have a great conference, and pass on the baton to Marie and Jared.
Hi, Amit. Hi, everyone, and thank you for sharing that great presentation with us today. I think we have some time for Q&A. So audience, go ahead and start putting some questions in the Q&A tab if you would, and we will get those questions moderated and brought on stage. But to kick you off, Amit, I'm curious, so of the personas that you outlined in today's presentation, which one do you believe is the most challenging for us to build for?
I think the most challenging for everyone are, of course, the business users. They come from we being engineers and the company having a heritage of data engineers and this thing. Sometimes we don't have enough empathy for what the business users are going through. So I think the launch that we are having today, Connect Spreadsheet, is a step in the right direction. So we are starting off with this wide, broad connectivity, but there's a lot of work to be done. What you would see in coming weeks and months are templates which are ready-made, where business users can get value inside of the spreadsheet, not just being able to connect. And of course, we can connect you to data. We can, using generative AI, we can generate SQL statements. So you can basically have a natural language prompt and get the data in your spreadsheet. But that only goes some ways. There is a lot more to be done beyond that. And so I feel like serving business users is the hardest.
Definitely. And for all those interested, right after today's session, Jared will be giving a demo of that new Connect Spreadsheets product, so you can see live how to get all of that data into your spreadsheet, which will be great. And very excited to hear there's more coming on that one, Amit. My next question for you is, you talked about the acquisition of data virtuality into the CData platform. Where do you see that platform moving in the future and the role it will play within CData?
So I think a semantic layer on top of data is very crucial. So when you think about data, there are two very dominant patterns. You can do ETL, you can move all the data into a data warehouse or a data lake, and that is obviously a very dominant pattern in how you work with data. But oftentimes, that's not the best approach. Creating a data warehouse or data lake comes with its own challenges. So, of course, there is timeliness of data. Like, these processes are data pipelines, so you have to wait until the data is moved into a new platform. But that is, with modern technology, that's not as big an issue. I think the bigger issue is when you build a data warehouse or a data lake, you lose all of the permissions that might have been created at the data source. So a classic example would be, like, imagine you're working with Salesforce or NetSuite, you have ERP data or a Workday data. While you're within the context of their application, you log in with your identity, and there are very well-defined rules on what you can see and what you can do. But as soon as you go back and build a data pipeline and copy all of the data into a data warehouse or a data lake, now you have to recreate that permission sets and decide who should be able to see what. So for certain use cases, and especially with the advancement in modern technology, where some of these data sources are just as responsive and fast, you can access a lot of that data live and work with it. So a semantic layer on top of your existing data sources is extremely valuable. And that's what we believe we can deliver with data virtuality and where we are headed.
That's great. And what technologies or systems are you most excited to build connectivity for in the future? What's top of mind?
So we have 300. I mean, we say 270. Like I think if we did a proper accounting, it might be nearly 300 plus connectors. We see connectors in domains. So generally, what happens is when we start building connectors in one domain, we see other users come in and ask for connectivity in that domain. We've done a lot around ERP platforms, CRM systems. We've done a lot of work around DevOps systems, project management systems like Jira and others. So I think they've been very popular and highly used. We've done a lot of work around NoSQL databases. So you would not consider them as a technology that's hard to connect to, but NoSQL in its own way, without any schema, brings a lot of challenges. So addressing those is important. But I think all of those systems have been very popular, and we see more and more. Like we see these line of business applications like Workday or NetSuite being very dominant, like ServiceNow. Like you would think of a few years back, ServiceNow being an application only managed by IT users, but there is a lot more use cases now where ServiceNow is embedded in other things. Workday is embedded in beyond just HR scenarios. So we see a lot of these line of business applications that are, I think, very valuable to connect to.
That's great. Well, thank you, Amit. That is all the questions we have time for today. So thank you again for a wonderful presentation and that look inside your vision for CData and for connectivity. So for our audience, like I mentioned, we're going to transition to our next session. But as you do that, Jared will be waiting with a demo of the new Connect Spreadsheets product and how you can start using that for free today. So we'll see you there.
Thanks, Marie.